Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we're going over the new Reseller Spreadsheet 3.0 version. I do want to get in to show you all the new stuff and how to use it, but first I wanted to mention that it is a Google Sheets only document. This is not going to work on Excel. If you try to import it in, it'll give you a bunch of errors. That's how it was with the other versions as well. But same thing with this version. I have not been able to spend time working on an Excel version. So Google Sheets only. And also it is, this version is also going to be free, just as the other versions. Same kind of deal. You can, if you choose to support us financially, there is a way to, when you download it, to put in a dollar amount. I do highly recommend to download it for free first, give it a try. Especially this version has some big changes, some big differences, at least from the last versions. So definitely give it a shot before you decide to financially support us. And then you could either use Gumroad or buy me a coffee. And we've got all the links down in the description if you do choose to support us. And then one last thing I wanted to mention before we get started was that we ourselves, Kathy and, well, mostly Kathy, the reseller, but we ourselves in our business have decided to move on from the spreadsheet. We've used the previous versions in the past for a couple years, maybe even a few years. And you know, we ultimately decided that for us, it was better to move on to more hands-off approach. And so we have a full-on bookkeeper who manages all of our books for us. And so I'm saying this because there is a point where you're probably going to want to move on to something different, sometimes free. While it's free and nice to use, it costs nothing. There's a lot of manual stuff you have to do. And so there should be a point in your business where if you decide, you know, this is a real thing, I want to keep moving on with reselling, doing pretty good at it, you might want to move on to something else. And my recommendation would be to use My Reseller Genie. We've actually met and talked with Faith and Paul. They're a great couple. They are, you know, started off as resellers. They might still be resellers. I'm not exactly sure, but they've started a business that does exactly that. It can fully import all your Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari sale information. And basically Paul is the accountant and I'm not. So yeah, there's definitely a point where you're going to need to decide whether it's worth your time, you know, filling out this kind of data yourself, or paying $20 a month and having it all done automatically. We do have a referral link down in our description if you would like to try out My Reseller Genie. Full disclosure, we do not use them ourselves. We just have a bookkeeper who does it all, which is, the next step above that. And the only reason we have the bookkeeper is because we do the YouTube and we have a lot of different kind of things other than just the reselling going on. So, we just need a little bit more attention to our books. So, all right, I'm sure I'm going to remember some other things I wanted to mention that I forgot to, but I know you guys are really anxious to get into the spreadsheet, and we'll just talk about that stuff as I remember. So let's head over to Reseller Spreadsheet 3.0, and we'll get started. So we have the new version right here loaded with some sample data, just to kind of show you guys a little bit. I'll have all the stuff like the chapters shown in the description, but we'll show you how to go from downloading or from putting on your drive to getting up and running on your own. We'll do that kind of later in the video. The beginning, I'm just going to be showing you kind of the new features that I've added in. Definitely look for the guide once you're done. I do recommend checking out all the new stuff before we do that too. So, all right. So yeah, I've got some data loaded up in here. It looks very similar to before, but there are some differences. You'll see a little bit of, hints over here on the right. These 5 buttons right here, these are just some quick shortcuts to selecting the start and end month to match Q1, Q2, the year, so on. So that's all that is. But what that reminds me is, I didn't mention this in the very beginning, but the new spreadsheet does have custom made scripts that do automations and stuff like that. And, you know, the whole purpose behind this version of the spreadsheet was to try to make it more user-friendly and mistake-free, just like the simple mistakes that would happen, that if you don't really know much about spreadsheets, you wouldn't know that you made the mistake, but, you know, easy to fix if you know what you're doing. So I wanted to prevent all that kind of stuff because I know a lot of our users don't really do anything in spreadsheets typically. And so I wanted to make it as user-friendly and easy to do as possible. And so we did a lot of scripts that I used ChatGPT to help because I don't know how to do any kind of coding, but ChatGPT really helped me out there. And so with the scripts, what that does is it requires permission to be granted to your spreadsheet. This is something that Google does for protection. I'll show you what it does and why it does it, and give you the ability to check it out for yourself, because it will look a little bit suspicious. If you've been on the internet in the past few years, there's a lot of things that cause kind of red flags, and this could be one of them. But it's just the process that Google does. So you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when we get started. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that process now, because you're going to have to either authorize it, or if you don't authorize it, you will not be able to use the spreadsheet pretty much. So you can always use previous versions if you don't want to go down this route. But so if we clicked on one of these, this is going to start running a script there, and you'll see it needs authorized. I've made a fresh copy of this, so I haven't granted myself authorization for this yet. So this is going to be exactly what you run into as well when you do this. So a script attached to this document needs your permission to run. So if you press OK, you select your account that you have your sheet loaded on. It should only be one there, I'm not sure. And then you'll get this red scary triangle that says Google has not verified this app. What this means is that I have not gone through the official process of having Google itself vet like all my scripts and all that for, you know, nefarious reasons. But I'm going to show you how to check it out yourself if you wanted to, because I don't know how to do this whole process. I don't know if I need, you know, I'm not going to go through the process of getting it verified with Google just because I don't even know what I'm doing. So, but to get access, what you'll have to do is go to advanced, and then it'll say continue only if you understand the risks and trust the developer. So hopefully you trust me enough. If you don't and you wanted to try it out anyway, my recommendation would be start a blank Google account, just some random, you know, or useful Gmail account, and then grant that one access, and that will keep you protected, you know, your whole drive and all that kind of stuff. They won't intermingle. They don't, and I'll show you, but at least you'll have that extra barrier of safety there. So if you're ready to go, move on. You go to Reseller, Spreadsheet 3.0, and then it'll show you the things that you are allowing when you press allow. Okay. And so this first one here is to view and manage spreadsheets that this application has been installed in. This application is like the script that I have put on the sheet. And all this is saying is you're allowing the scripts that I have provided with the sheet to work with this sheet. They just make you grant permission for it. And then the second one is to display and run third-party web content in prompts and sidebars inside Google applications. So this one is to allow, I have like a new return process, and that pops up a window that you fill out data or, you know, the return information and submit it. And it's a way to automate the return process, which we have not had in the previous versions. But since it's a script and it pulls up that custom made HTML window, you need to permit that as well. So those are what the two permissions are. Now, if you still don't trust what it is, I'm going to show you how you can actually look at the code yourself if you want to. And so I've declined it. Access is denied, and it's not going to let me do these things as long as I keep doing that. Okay. But if you look up in here and you go to extensions and then the apps script, it'll open up the apps script of all the scripts that I have attached to the spreadsheet, and you'll see them all here: shortcuts, returns, return form. So like this return form is the HTML one that it was, requesting permission for. If you know how to, code and all that kind of stuff, you go through all this code and check for yourself. Use ChatGPT if you want. I can tell you that I don't know how to code. I had ChatGPT do all this coding for me. It was a long process to try to get it to understand what I wanted, but yeah, you can check through all the code yourself and definitely inspect it. And so this is everything that is in the spreadsheet right here there for you to look at. All right. So you have access to this without having permission to it, or without permitting it to have access to your account and all that kind of stuff. So definitely do that. So hopefully, you're willing to kind of go through that process of allowing the scripts. I'm going to go ahead and do it here. Again, Google is not verified. It makes it seem so scary that you need to go back to safety and all this kind of stuff. But again, it's only because I have not gone through the official process of making it Google verified and all that. So we're going to go ahead and allow it there. And so now you'll see the script will run, and let me hide myself there. You'll see down here in the corner a little box that says update complete. That sometimes these little notifications pop up. So, this data sheet that I have loaded with data only has Q4 info. So, of course, if I click on anything other than Q4, it's not going to have any information, because none of my sales and stuff here are recorded for those other months. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the other features of the spreadsheet. Again, you remember this looks very similar to before. We do have a few additions here. I've added a sell-through rate counter, and this just kind of gives you a sell-through rate of what your date range is here. And so whatever you have selected, if you have, just 1 month, it will show you the sell-through rate of that month. Oops, I did 2 months there, right? So again, remember, this is all just fake data. It doesn't really mean anything, but the sell-through rate should follow along with whatever month you have open and have visible, whatever range you have. So that's a new addition. So another new thing we have, and I don't know if it's new, I might have changed it a little bit, but the inventory cost. This is basically a number of all of your unsold inventory that you have left in your sheet. And so basically everything that is on your inventory sheet here that does not have a date sold in the column, date sold. So it will add up the cost of goods column of everything that has no date sold. Okay. So that's just a good number to look at of how much you have invested in your inventory that is sitting in your inventory. Okay. Average days listed, that is basically just taking an average of these numbers here of the items that are still in your inventory. And so, it kind of has like a little color scale here. The older it is, I think I have 90 days as the darkest red, and 0 days is the greenest green. So yellow is medium, anywhere in between that, and it kind of scales with that. So basically that number takes the average of that. Miles driven is the same. It relays your mileage log miles here, which as you add them in here, the mileage log did not change between this version and the last. Neither has the expense log. Those are very kind of basic logs for you to use if you want, but same as before. All right, now if we scroll all the way to the right here, we have this whole new section, and that is the returns section. Okay, the sheet now tracks returns, and I'll go through the process in a little bit, but we have our returns that get tracked here on the returns sheet. And that data will reflect here, and it will follow your date range selection. So you can get your return information based on the range as well. So it'll follow all these other charts, right? So, and along with that, it gives you an approximate return rate for that date range that compares your returns to your sales, the number of returns, your average refund that you've refunded back, total refund, and additional costs. Now, I've got additional costs on the spreadsheet as things that cost you additional money beyond the return. So like if you got something back and it needed repaired that you wanted to repair it so that you could sell it again, that's where that would kind of go. Tailoring costs, that kind of stuff. Okay. And this will be another chart that will kind of pop up, and you'll see that once we actually do a return. So another thing you'll see right below that is the listings tracker. And this is actually a suggestion I got not too long ago, and it just took a few minutes to put it in. I thought it was a great suggestion. And what this does is it gives you a number of how many listings, based on your date listed right here, how many listings you've done today, this week, this month, this year, and then the date range based on the dates that you have up here. Okay. I think like if I did January, it might go up 284. 283. So I have one listed before the date range. Okay. And then bundle sale helper. This is another addition that we have. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense now until we get some bundles recorded in this data. But this would show you the sum of these numbers of your bundle. So if you have a 10 item bundle, it will take the numbers of all the 10 items and give them here. This is just a quick, easy way to look at bundles. We've got some other ways to look at your bundles and process your bundles, which is a new feature of the spreadsheet, managing bundles. Okay, so I think that pretty much sums up the dashboard for monthly. The weekly dashboard actually has no change. It is the same as before. So it operates the same as before. It's the same as your monthly dashboard, just broken down by a week by week basis of the same data. So, but yeah, I did not add all the other stuff to that. I figured the monthly dashboard is probably the most everyone's go-to. But I guess if your weekly is, then you have to just come to this dashboard to look at that info. All right, so that's all the information on the dashboards. Let's go on over to the inventory sheet and show you the additions that we have added here. So right off the bat, we have this new column here called platforms listed. If you want to track where your items are listed before they sell, you can actually select the different items, and this drop down, as with all the other drop downs, are you're able to customize them. And this one I actually customized with color options, and you can change that here. Like you can't add the items here, but you can definitely change the colors of them if you wanted to. Okay. You can apply to all or just this or whatever. So there's a lot of customization that way. And this is a column that you can choose to use or not use. If you choose to not use it, something you can do now without causing destruction to the spreadsheet as before is, let's just delete it. We don't want it. Okay. The dashboard still works. Nothing is broken. In fact, you can move columns around if you wanted to. Now, before you couldn't do that. You can add columns if you wanted to. Let's add one to the right here. Let's add another one. Column 1, column 2. You can do custom information here if you want. And again, that doesn't mess up your dashboards. Your dashboards are still going to operate perfectly fine. This is a big improvement versus the last sheet. I'm super excited about this one. Let me go ahead and undo all that stuff. All right, there we go. We're back. Yeah, I don't want to delete that stuff while I'm showing you the spreadsheet. Yeah, so pretty much fully customizable inventory sheet now. I will say, do not move column A. Column A needs to stay here. And you actually do need to fill out a bin location for your sold items, or they are not going to show up in the sold detail. I know it's a weird little thing, but I couldn't figure out a way around it. But that has to stay there, and you do need some info in there. If you're not using it for inventory location, just put a blanket, just dash or something. Just put the same thing in all of them. Hide it. I think it'll be okay if you hide it. You can keep doing what you got to do. So, all right. So moving on to the next new column. Now, I believe days active was here. That just kind of gives you the days that it has been listed and not sold. Previously, if you made a date sold, it would erase that number kind of up here, how they're erased. And you wouldn't know how many days it took to sell. So I added this new column, days to sell. This is the number of days, as you guessed it, it took this item to sell. A great number to have and pretty much essential to knowing your sell-through rate. So that is part of the sell-through rate there. Let's see, what's the next new column right here? A bundle ID. So with the new spreadsheet, you will be able to manage bundle sales easier. There's still not a super perfect way to do it, but I've simplified the process, and I think it's pretty obvious or pretty easy to get. So I'll show that I'll show it here just so you see. But basically, if you have a bundle sale and you want to mark a bunch of stuff sold, the first thing you should do is find the items. So if you're searching for, let's say, Nike, hopefully we have a Nike. Oh, it's not that one. And I'm just going through a scenario. Okay, it's these Nike Air Jordan 1 bundle ID. Now, one caveat to the bundle ID, I recommend starting it with a B and then whatever number, 001 is one. I recommend going this way versus just a number. And the reason why is because sometimes if you have a lot of numbers and you're not like looking at headers and stuff, you won't really recognize what a number is referencing. But if you have a B in front of it, you'll always know that that's a bundle number. So that's kind of why I do it, but I do highly recommend that you do it the same way. Let's go ahead and add that to bundle 001, but bundles have more than one sale. So this person happened to buy these Lululemon, and we'll do the same bundle number there, bundle ID. And one more item, they bought this Old Navy, okay? So we've added 3 items to the bundle, and if you look at bundle sales sheet, it's now populated your first bundle with those 3 items of the bundle. Now, obviously, we've filled out some information here that already, so you would not have filled out the sold information yet. Let's add another bundle just so you can kind of see the difference. So let's just say that this is bundle 2. We'll just do this 2. So we have 2 bundles now, and you'll see now they're color coded. So every other bundle is a different code. And just to make that obvious now is if we go back to the bundle, it'll go back to gray. So every other alternating color is a bundle, okay? So you could easily come here and see how your bundles are just recorded. And then just a quick shout back to the bundle sale helper on the dashboard. Now those bundles are populating this drop-down menu, and you could see the total price for that if you wanted to just quickly look at that. Now, if you wanted to make a bundle and then add the numbers in, this is how I recommend doing it. You'll notice we have this new filter set up, and so all of the columns can be filtered down, and again, this will not mess up your spreadsheet. So to do it by the bundle, let's go ahead, click the filter. Just looks like a little funnel with 3 lines. Clear the selection. These check marks are the ones that it's going to show. So if you have blanks, it's going to show anything that's not a bundle or that has no bundle recorded, a blank cell, or the bundles here. So if we just want to show one bundle, let's do bundle 1, and then that will show just the items in that bundle on your whole inventory sheet. And this does not mess with your dashboards either, okay? So now that we have just bundle 1 showing, this makes it easier for us to put in the sale data of that bundle. And of course, you know, the numbers that I have here don't mean anything. They were just random. But if this was our first time adding the bundle, we would be doing this stuff for the first time as well. Like this all would have sold the same day. Let's just do December 5th. Okay. And let's say now for sold price, all you got to do is put the total sold price on one line, and then the rest of them can just be 0. We could just go ahead and pick the same platform for them all. Fees, again, all you need to do is track all these numbers on one line. Let's say the fees were $9.50. I don't know. These are just random numbers again. Say we did 50 cents in promotion fees. Shipping provider, eBay, and shipping costs. Let's say it cost $18 to ship. And so, you know, the numbers here are going to look a little weird, but if you look over here in the bundle 1, it's going to show you the total numbers there. And in the bundle sales sheet, it's going to reflect the same information that you put in. Now, you're not going to be able to do that information here. Like, you can't edit this bundle sales sheet, but it will reflect and make it easy for you to see the bundles there. If you want to do any kind of editing, you're going to have to filter down this way, and then do it like that. So after that, all you need to do is, we have this new custom menu here, and you could reset the filter. And what that's going to do is set your inventory sheet back to default. Super easy. So that's another one of my custom scripts, versus trying to have to go and remember what kind of filters. Because sometimes, like if you have this kind of stuff filtered down, let's say, oh, I want to see what is still available in the FU box. So anything that is blank in the sold price, or not price, date. Let's go sold date, which this means anything that is not sold that is still in the box. So if we wanted to do an audit of our box, of our inventory, we should be able to go through this box and see that this is the stuff that's here. And then, you know, with that information, you could do whatever you want. So, but sometimes if you don't remember, or, you know, sometimes you might have a different filter. Sometimes it can get really, you can really narrow this stuff down a lot. Like if you wanted to just do, oh, let me see what kids' clothes are in that box, stuff like that. But, you know, then you have to go back and try to select all these things again. So I've added this custom menu here, the reset filter. And what that does is it just resets your view back to default, and you don't have to think about it. And so now also with the filter, again, that doesn't really mess with your dashboards anymore, but you can now sort by bin location. You could sort by item description now. These were things that you couldn't really do before. So however you like to see your data in whatever order, say you want to see it oldest to newest from your purchase date, you could do it that way. Or your most expensive items, you know, that are still available. Actually, you would probably want to do date listed if you wanted to do that, and that would show you these are your more your older items that you need to work on. See, so the filter is just a new way to be able to look at your inventory sheet without using those filtered views that we had before. So that's a new addition. Again, doing all those changes does nothing to mess up your dashboard. Your dashboards are always going to be available to work now. And now I think the last thing on the inventory sheet that is an addition is this new column called status. Now this is directly related to returns, and I guess we could go ahead and segue right into the returns section now. I'll move that over here. Yeah, this is basically the status of the item if there's been a return requested. Again, these are customizable to whatever process you have and whatever you want whatever works for you and your business. You can customize them here. With one caveat, you do need to make sure that you don't remove we'll go to the drop down menus. So the biggest thing about the drop down menus is even though they are customizable, you cannot remove the ones that are in red. These are the scripts that are being used in the spreadsheet are dependent on these specific stages, status, and that purchase location. So again, you can customize all this other stuff however you want. If you wanted to add whatnot here, all this stuff will be organized in this order. That's how it was in the past, but now we've got these ones that you can't really delete. So make sure you don't delete those. Returns. This is a big request of the spreadsheet, something that I never really thought about adding in because honestly, Kathy never really had returns when I started making the spreadsheet. But now we have a good process on how to do a return. And so I'll show you. It's pretty simple. Let's say, is this a sold item? Yeah, these are all my sold items. Let's say these Nike Pink Pro Racer, whatever this is, they requested a return. And now if you come up to this custom menu, this is a new custom menu. It has that reset filter that I showed you before, but it also has a section for returns. And if we go in there and click Start Return, it'll run this script. And this is where the HTML pop-up that was one of the the things you had to approve in the very beginning. That's what this is. It's just to approve this. And so we have the item description. You just want to verify, yeah, I did select the right one. And then whatever you need to refund it, I don't even know. We're just going to do a random number. Got to pay him back $50. And then you can select a reason here. Again, this is a customizable drop down, but don't remove the ones that are required. Let's say, unfortunately, it was an item not as described. And then additional costs here. You probably won't have very many additional costs right up at the beginning here, but you can always customize it and then later on. So let's go ahead and submit that, and might take just a second. The return has been successfully logged. What that did is it set your item that you returned, the status to return pending. And so if we go to the returns sheet, it will show that that is now in your return log. It defaults the return date to today's date, which as you can see, today is the 25th. Which I'm going to change this because all of our data is in 2024, even though we're in 2025, and the spreadsheet's going to be for 2025 and beyond. So let's say we did this on the 20th of December. Refund amount, reason, you can refine all this kind of stuff. This is held separately from your inventory sheet. So, oh no, that was just a size or fit issue. If you need to add in additional costs, let's actually say, item didn't work, and we paid somebody to fix this shirt, fixed a hole, right? Theoretical. So $5 for that. Resolution. This is basically, what you did to resolve the sale. This is just your information for yourself. So use it as much as you want to, as much depth as you want. Resolution date. What I recommend using this all for is so that what stage your return is, and you don't want to lose track of that, so that you're providing the best customer service that you can. Now let's say this was an accident. I didn't mean to put this item as a return. All you got to do is come up here, highlight it, and returns. You could do undo return, and that's an easy way. Just confirm that it was that, and it will actually pull it out of your return sheet, and it will return it back to available. It'll set it back to before. All right. So that's a scenario that might happen, but no, let's actually, this was a return, right? So let's go through this again. Say we had to return $20. Again, made up numbers. I don't know. Size or fit issue. All right, submit. And so we go back here. All right, we're back to how it was. 20th or 19th, that's fine. But now let's say, hey, if we've received it, or what the next stage is, we're waiting to receive it, awaiting item in transit. So now we know, okay, we should be getting it back. Now, say we've received, inspected, and all that kind of stuff. You're ready to relist it, basically. You want to get your money back. So what you got to do is select this to ready to restock. And then if you come back up to the returns menu here, if you process a restock, what this is going to do is keep all of your return data available, but you're going to get a new item in your inventory sheet for the restock. And this is just a confirmation for it, saying you could do more than one restock at a time if you wanted, but just do one at a time, I guess, just to be safe. So what that does is it's going to close the status of this item up here, okay? And the reason why we're keeping that in the inventory sheet and all the sales data attached to it is because that's how, when you get your tax documents back from Poshmark or eBay, you're still going to have this recorded as income on their end. And then you have to go ahead and file deductions for your refund that you gave back. That's what this is all going to be here for. So by the end of the year, you'll have all of your refund amounts, additional costs. These will be deductions that you'll have to use, okay? But you still want to have the sold price and all that recorded here also. But if we scroll down to the I guess it didn't go to the very end because it put it right in between here, but it added in here, and you'll notice in the notes, restocked from a return on 125. So it just adds that note there, but you'll want to come in here. It'll have the same item description. And then, you want to add in, okay, purchase location from restocked, purchase date, and then go ahead and add in the remaining information that you want. I would probably say cost of goods is 0 because any additional costs you're going to have as a different deduction. You don't want to deduct that twice. You don't want to deduct it from your cost of goods there either. So, and then, yeah, you might need to reference the weight and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, when doing the returns log, it doesn't keep track of like the item weight, the category, and all that kind of stuff. So you'll have to manually do that. 0.5, I don't know what the weight is, but you'll have to manually keep up with that if that's something you use. If you use the weight, but you'll know what the category is. So, and then it's basically just as a new item. So you go ahead and put, the date that you listed it and all that, and then treat it like it's a new item. And then once it sales, record it as a new sale. That way it should keep all your books in line and you should be good to go. And you'll always have all of your return information here. And so that's pretty much the process of returns. Again, the stage here, all these are customizable however you would like using the drop-down menu. So just make sure you don't delete the red ones because those are required for the script to work. But if you don't want to have all these and you want to just have it simplified or whatever works with your flow and your business. Along with that customization, I don't know if I might have mentioned, but maybe not in depth, but you are able to move around these columns up here to fit your process and whatever you use. I do recommend not changing a lot unless you really want to. I do think the more you change something away from the original, the more chance you have at something not working right, and the more chance you have of me not even know what's going on, which will make it really difficult for me to help you fix it. So you do all that kind of stuff at your own risk, but moving one or two things here and there should not be a problem. All right, so I went ahead and loaded up some sample return data, just gave it just random stuff, just so we can kind of see how it interacts with the dashboards. And right here I have, so like the whole year selected, and it's showing all the returns because they are all within that year. And I did go ahead and set up some different data so that we have more than just Q4. But you can see as I narrowed it down to Q4, it's showing 2 returns in there. And the return rate is based on the sales in that range as well. And So it looks like our return rate is really high, but we just only have 5 sales total for that date range, because again, the data is just sample data. But yeah, this is exactly how it works, and it just goes along with the date selection that you've done, whether you use the buttons or not. So let's see if we have, yeah, so like one in November, December, another one's in October. So that's it. That's basically how returns works. If you wanted to add more columns, should not be any problem for you. And you should be able to reconfigure this as well. With the same caveat, the column A needs to stay in the A spot. But if you wanted to have any other kind of custom things here, you should be able to do that without any problems. And we can see here it's still showing up the returns properly. So if you want a little bit more data for yourself, or just to reconfigure, and on the README sheet, I will go ahead and add instructions on which columns to not mess with. Like the column A, you got to leave it there on the return sheet and the inventory sheet. And on the inventory sheet, there are some columns that that you can't change the names of or remove. So I'll put all that kind of important information in the README so that it will be available to you for easy access. All right, so let's move on to the next sheet that is new, and that is the calculation sheet here. This is nothing you really need to worry about. In fact, this is going to be hidden by default. It's, if you explored your previous spreadsheet, you probably might recognize these columns here. These are just something that, this is what helps the dashboard work with all your inventory items here. But basically, you're not going to need to do any kind of changing or doing any kind of modifying here, and in fact, it is protected. But just be aware that it is here, and this is a very crucial part to the spreadsheet, so don't delete it. Best to just keep it hidden. If you wanted to come in here and look at the inner workings, you know, it's here, but definitely don't really mess with it. And we're going to hide that there. Now, if you ever hide any sheet and you want to unhide it, they will all be visible here. You'll see it's a little gray there. But yeah. I mentioned expense log and mileage log. They are the same as they were before. You know, just use them if you want. They're here just in case. Now, the daily totals log, it's not a new sheet, but it is better. And it's better because the range before, if you added a bunch of data at the end of your spreadsheet for new items, the way the spreadsheet looks at those items is by a range of data, and those ranges would not include the new items. So what you would have to do is you'd have to come in here and edit and then erase this, and it would default to the next highest number. I've figured a way around that, and you should never have to edit it anymore. It should just include all of the data, and no matter how much you add, it will still show here. So that is an improvement, and basically all this does is you could look at a specific day, and it will tell you the number of items that sold and your numbers, your profit, your fees, promoted fees, all that kind of stuff. So that's what this is for. It's just a quick, like, oh, I sold 17 items on December 3rd, but only one on November 10th. You know, just a quick little reference point for you, just to keep an eye on your numbers. All right, next up, I wanted to talk about At a Glance tab. Now, this is one that I don't know if it got very much use. I know Kathy never used it. I never really used it on our sheet. But I think this one actually got kind of nuked by the changes that I've made to the spreadsheet, and I really don't think it has any use now. I am going to leave it here. I'll probably leave it hidden as I distribute the spreadsheet. And if somebody wants it, it's there. If you know how to do all these kinds of edits and stuff, you could probably get some useful information out of it. But I just find it easier to get the information that I want by using filters this way on the inventory sheet, now that it doesn't really affect the dashboards. So I've messed around with it for a few hours one day, but I couldn't get it to do what it was doing before, at least how I felt it was doing before, and it just seems clunky. But it's here if it's something you prefer to do. I don't want to get rid of it if somebody wants it. But honestly, if you don't want to use it and you don't even want it hidden, you can go ahead and just delete by right-clicking and delete, and that will not affect your sheet at all, or just leave it hidden. But it's here if you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that now. And that brings us to the new import sheet. And now this is a big improvement that we are adding. This does use some scripts. So this is another thing that relies heavily on you approving the permissions that were requested in the very beginning. And that is to be able to import your data from your other sheets. Now, there is a way to allow permissions to where you could select your old sheet from within this sheet and import directly from your old sheet. The problem with that is, in order to allow that, you have to allow access to your whole Google Drive. And I didn't want to give this spreadsheet that access. So that was like a big red flag that I didn't want to cross, a big line that I didn't want to cross, because there's really no need just for this one thing that you're going to use maybe one time. And so this was actually a recommended, or an idea that came up by one of our viewers on our live stream, Maya, who said, what if you just copy the data into the sheet and then copy it from within? And so that's basically what this is. And I've managed to, with ChatGPT's help, script these buttons that can either import all of your unsold listings. So say you're going from 2024 to 2025 or 25 to 26, and you want to copy your unsold inventory, leave your sales in the old sheet for, historic purposes and be able to reference text purposes and all that. But you're ready to record for the next year. So this is something you would do on like January 1. You'd import all your unsold listings. And it's really as simple as copying and pasting in the right spots. I've also included import all listings. Now this is kind of like a safety feature that if you're having any kind of issues with your spreadsheet, maybe you did some customizations and it's just broken beyond fix, you don't know what you did, your data should always still be safe. No matter what you do, your data should not really be affected. So the best thing to do is to copy all of your data into a fresh sheet, and it should work theoretically. So that's what this is for, to import all of your listings. It will just import everything. And in fact, if you have custom columns or rearranged columns, it should still import and put it in the right column. I've done all kinds of testing on this. This has taken a lot of my time on the spreadsheet and making sure that this feature works good. But again, this is making big changes to your spreadsheet. So you want to make sure that everything you're doing is proper, and you don't want to make mistakes here, because then your sheet is just a mistake. So I've got some warnings here just to make sure that you're 100% ready to press the button before pressing the button. And then I always recommend making a backup of your data before attempting. And again, make a backup of this whole blank sheet. I'll show you once we start going through the guide, but make sure you back up. You want to have backups. Make sure you back up. Okay. And then watch the video on how to do this all the way through before you start, so you know what to expect. And then once you're importing your data, you can hide this sheet out of your way. So again, you can just hide this when you're not using it. I recommend keeping it just because you can import data. Really, you can import data anytime you want, and it should be fine. So we'll reserve this for the guide section, but wanted to show you guys that new tab there. Actually, I did forget to mention the active listings and sold listings sheet. Now, these are just some sheets to give you a quick look at whatever is active and whatever is sold. And all this does is it sorts by date listed. So like the active listings will be sorted date listed, your oldest listings on top. So these are going to be the ones that, you know, if you're getting up there in the days active, these are the ones you're going to be wanting to do something with. Again, you can't really edit anything on this sheet. It's going to give you an error, and if you do something, it will mess up the sheet. I approved it there. Just Control Z. You can always undo, and it'll fix that real easy. Same thing, same idea with the sold listings sheet. Just gives you a rundown of your sold listings. Okay, these just auto-populate, a super easy, quick reference, really, so you don't have to do the annoying, you know, filtering down. But if you wanted to filter down even more, come on over to the inventory sheet, and you really want to get acquainted with these filters. This is really going to change the way you're able to interact and look at your data. And even pull information out. So that's those two sheets. Again, very similar to before. In fact, they're about identical. So I think I've showed you guys everything that I wanted to show you that's new in the spreadsheet. Now it's just kind of a matter of getting up and running and starting it for yourself. All right, so now it is time to show you how to get the spreadsheet and get started on it and set up for yourself. I was trying to figure out a good way to do this because, you know, I'm recording this before I have released the spreadsheet, and so I have nothing to really download. But I want to show you guys how to actually download it. So I'm showing you my previous version here, and it should be the same process to get the copy of this. But make sure that you're doing the 3.0 instead of the 2.0. So this is the link to our 2.0 section, or our 2.0 spreadsheet, which I am going to have, I keep these up just so that they're available for people. So we have the original here in the 2.0. In the description of this video, there's going to be a link to the spreadsheet, and that will point you to the right place. Now, what you're going to need to do this, you're going to want to add to your cart, but you need to input an amount. Now, it is free. You just need to put 0 for it to show up as free. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add it to account. $0. And then you need to type in your email account here. Go ahead and type in your Gmail account email here. And then you can... I recommend don't add any money until you've tried it out and you decide then you wanted to support. Give it a go before, especially if this is your first time using the spreadsheet. Yeah, go ahead and add your Gmail account here, or your Gmail address here, and click Get. And what that's going to do is you click here to visit the content, and it will say make a copy. Now you need to be logged in to the Gmail account that you're trying to save this into. And then whenever you make a copy, what that does is it saves the copy, a blank copy, in your own cloud, your own Gmail cloud drive. I think it's called Drive. And so you'll see this is the 2.0, so it looks different, right? It doesn't have the returns, and it's got these error looking things, which I've fixed. So that's how you, now this is a copy that I'm able to edit. Okay. Nintendo, I bought a Nintendo, so I can do that. So you're able to edit, you're not able to edit the one that it looks at, but you are able to edit that one. So that's how you get a copy. And then once you have your copy of 3.0 in your drive, it'll look just like this. All right, so you've gone through all the steps of getting your copy to your drive. Now, the very first thing I want you to do is go right up here, click File, Make a Copy. I know you just made a copy, but you're going to make another copy, okay? And what this is going to be is, I recommend naming it this, blank copy of Reseller Spreadsheet 3.0. This won't even be here. Now you have a fresh blank copy anytime you make a mistake or you need to do something and you just got to get all your information into a new copy. You already have it. You don't even have to go back to Gumroad and download and all that kind of stuff again. You just have a copy ready to go. You're able to use it in the future years. But it's a really good idea, and I really want you to make sure that you just have a blank copy so that you can start fresh anytime you need to. All right, so another thing we need to do to get the sheet ready to use for the year is if you go to the README tab, which, you can click this drop down here or this little hamburger menu, select README. This is a setting that you need to update and make sure that you have the year of the spreadsheet that you're working on typed in here. So obviously, at the time of this video coming out, you're working on 2025, but if you're using it next year or in the future years, 2026, 2027. This is just a setting that some of the scripts that I made use because I knew that it wouldn't just work. It wasn't just going to be something that people would use for 1 year. They're going to want to use it multiple years, unless I have future versions come out. But for this copy of the spreadsheet, you do need to have a year that you're working on. And you'll know it's the right year when your monthly dashboard has the dates filled out, even though you don't have any data. All right, so you've done the year here, and your copy of this is going to have links to videos and other information and stuff here. I haven't got to that point in time for myself because I'm making the video right now and all that kind of stuff. But I'll have useful links and all that kind of stuff in here. I think I'm even going to add like support links, like buy me a coffee links and stuff like that. So if you do choose to support us financially, which all that is very much greatly appreciated, but I'll have a quick link here, and a link to like my reseller genie and stuff is going to go in here as well. So that's just easy access for you. So now that we have the correct year selected, the next thing we need to do is go into the settings, and you want to make sure that your now I have not tested this with any other location. I've only tried with the United States, but I imagine it would work if you were in the UK or something. I don't know. If you are international and you're using it and it's not working, whatever, let me know. I'd be happy to try and figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried that out, honestly. So, but the time zone, you do want to make sure you put your time zone in, which I am Mountain Time, save settings. And along with that, one thing you also need to do, this is a little bit of a pain, but if you go to your apps script, so what I did there was extensions, apps script, and that pulls up the scripts that you're able to look into and all that. But we need to set this to the correct time zone as well. So just click the little gear here for the project settings and click your time zone here. In my testing, if this wasn't on the correct time zone, my dates were just not recording right. It was showing like a month previous. So if you're having if you click this button here and it's not picking the correct months, I haven't authorized this one yet, then that's probably what your problem is. You forgot to do this. But make sure you match the time zones there. You can go ahead and close out of that. Now we mentioned again in the video, you have to authorize it. Okay, that's what this whole section is here. We're gonna go ahead and authorize this. We've already gone through all that. All right, so the scripts there is working. Now, obviously we have no data to pull because we haven't put any in yet. Now, your drop-down menus. This is where I recommend customizing, to your whoever, whatever. Say you're Bob. Say, Jill, Jack, whatever, whoever's sourcing for you. If you want to use the agent filter, that's where you're going to be doing that. Add in your purchase locations here. Now you can make this as granular, as narrow as you want, as broad as you want. We just have Goodwill, garage sales, bins. Kathy has a lot more on her other sheet. She likes to keep it she used to keep it how she wanted. But this is somewhere where you can really customize to yourself. Say you want to have Goodwill North, Goodwill South, if you have multiple Goodwills, or if you just want Goodwill as a whole. You could really put those locations in here and keep it however you'd like that way. Category, however, and whatever categories you want to use, put them here. And don't forget, this is customizable at any point. If you decide to start a new category, you can come in here and add it. You get a new employee or whatever, you can come in here and add them. New purchase location gets built. We actually just had a new thrift store open up, I think yesterday. Grand opening yesterday, like less than maybe a little more than a mile away from our home. So we would have to come in here and add that one there. So definitely come in here whenever you need to and add or remove as according as to your needs. So fully customizable here. Special designation. Now this is something that, if you're trying to keep specific, like thrift hauls separate, or, like for example, we did our Binsmas one year and we did a special designation for Binsmas. And that basically marked all of those items with the Binsmas tag, just so that we could sort by Binsmas and we could see on a granular level of that scale to see what we wanted to know about Binsmas and how profitable that little adventure was. So you can use this. You could choose not to use it if you want, however you would like. But that's basically what this is if you wanted to narrow your items separately into different designations. So your different platforms are going to go here. The different ways you do shipping are going to go here. Adjustments. Now adjustments and the adjustment part of the sheet here, these are like how you would track internal, like your adjusted net profit is like if you wanted to deduct the cost of a return so that you know how much you lost on an item, but you don't want to affect the numbers for the tax purposes, which would be like the net profit and all that. I mentioned earlier in the video, if you do a return and you refund somebody, that money is tracked differently in your taxes. Well, if you do it with the adjusted profit here, you would be able to keep up with your profit that, internally. This is not a number that goes to the IRS, basically. For example, say I sold something for $100 and got returned, and then I sold it again, or, it cost me money to ship it back, all that. So that's where I could track how much money I lost on the shipping here on that specific item. So again, use to your own discretion. Since it's such an internal number, it doesn't really matter for tax purposes, but you're definitely able to use it however you want. So the drop-down menu can be customized however you want. Next up is status, and that is, again, this status here, customized to however you want. But again, make sure available is at the top there and closed doesn't need to be at the bottom, but it makes sense, beginning and anything in between. Customized to whatever your process is. So like step 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever works for you. Same with stage. And the stage is on the return sheet here, okay? And that's however you want to track your returns, whatever stage of the return is. Reason, now this drop-down menu here, which is also right here, the return reason, this is whenever we did the return and it popped up the window and you were able to put the dollar amount, the reason. That's what this is here. I just generated a list of items with ChatGPT for some common return reasons, but you can definitely narrow it down, expand upon it as much as you would like, and you should have no problem there. So that's how you customize your drop-down menus. And again, do your best for when you start, but you're gonna come back in here often, as if you're using the sheet for the first time, to change things to however you need. But I recommend keeping it hidden. Keeping this bar down here as clean as you can is not a bad thing. All right, so now that we've customized our drop-down menus, now you just start adding in your inventory that you want to start tracking. I've been asked the question, like, should I put in other sales that I've already sold? It depends on what information you're trying to get out of the spreadsheet, really. So if you're wanting it for the dashboards to be able to know what, that the sold data is what your dashboards are pulling from anyway. So you're going to want that sold data. If you're just wanting it to track where your inventory items are, you could use it for just that. like Kathy does still more or less use the inventory tracking because we have not fully migrated that to other softwares that we use or whatever. Yeah, so if you really even wanted to customize the colors, you could definitely do that too. Let's say you don't like this dark blue and you want it to go, oh, we like green. Okay, so you can go green there. You can go, I do like the idea of having the sold information a different color. It just kind of makes it more visually obvious. You could definitely customize that however you would like. And then now, if you are importing information, let's go ahead and set up an import, okay? All right, so let's say we're trying to import from this sheet. I'm going to do a couple different imports, one from the old version and one from this new version, just so you can kind of see the import process does work. And actually, I'm going to throw it a little bit of a curveball and move some of these around before we copy the data. I did this a lot in testing. And let's say we even had like a new column. Let's say we had this, which we wanted to know. Say we tracked the links to the items. Just generic links here, but say you had them hyperlinked directly to your items. Let's see how the import handles this. So what you're going to do is you're going to get to the inventory sheet of the data you're trying to import, select the very top, like the whole column, which you just click in this case, it's 2. It's the very top because I have some hidden columns there you don't want to mess with. But if you select 2 and then scroll down to the bottom here, I'm going to exclude that line there just because that is incomplete. But so we've got right click and copy. So once you have it all selected, this selects everything. All right, everything that's in there. And what we're going to do is go ahead and select A11, this cell right here. This is, I should probably color this a certain color too. Maybe I'll have it this color. I don't know. Maybe I'll change the color. But basically, this cell here, A11, is the magic cell. You're going to want to, once you have your data copied, all right, select that one cell, hold Control-Shift-V. And that's just going to paste the data straight across. It's going to give all your headers, all the data below them, and just like that. So we're going to do, let's try to import just the unsold. So let's say we're copying from last year's and we're just importing the unsold listings. So once the data is in there, we can go ahead and click import unsold listing, let it run. Now this could take a little bit of while. This could take a little while. And look, it says a new column was detected. Found one new column, links to items. Would you like to add these columns to the inventory sheet? So here you could say yes or no. But yeah, I do want to add that in because I've customized it. I want to have the new customization. So 228 unsold items out of the 301. Important checks before proceeding. Check for duplicate listings. Now this is all, if you've made sure that your data is good to go, you don't need to worry about this. Just make sure you're really ready to go. Ensure your import data is up to date. Consider creating a backup of your inventory sheet. We had already done a backup, but it is a good idea to, before you're importing stuff in, just to make sure that you're backed up and ready to go. It cannot be automatically undone. You would have to manually delete all of the items, which can be difficult sometimes. And the larger the import, the longer it's going to take. Would you like to proceed? Yes, let's go ahead and get it started. So it's going to run through, take a few minutes. This is just a small, yep, see, it didn't even take that long at all because it was only 228 items. And I've tested this up to like thousands, 6,000 items, and it worked fine. It did take a long time though. And so now if we go to our inventory, It scared me there for a sec. It puts it at the bottom of your listings. I had 100 blank lines basically, and it put them on the bottom. So yeah, it looks like it imported just fine. There is no sold data imported. And the dashboards will also not have any sold data there. So then theoretically, you're good to go. And let's check and see if it added that new column. It does add it at the very end, and you'll see here links to items. So it should have the links. So I was just looking for why there was no links of, like, I added the Poshmark and eBay and stuff. Well, it's because I added that on sold data and it didn't import. So now we're back to no data. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and try importing all the listings. And so what this is going to do is import all sold and unsold. So let's go ahead and do that. I should give you the same prompts. New column detected, links to items. Would you like to add? Yes. And now since these are marked on the sold datas, that should import as well. Would you like to proceed with importing 301 items? Yes. All right, so we just finished importing that data. Again, it does put it down at the bottom of your available lines. And so it's added here at the 100. And let's see, it did add that column and the links to the end there. Now it's hard to see because the text is white for some reason. Let me change that. There we go. So, you know, then you could just move this column to wherever you would like it to be. Scoot it over. All right. So it did import everything, and including the sold and unsold. All right, so we can go ahead and remove these empty rows up here by just deleting. We should be good. Now this is a weird quirk with the inventory sheet and the dashboard. If the last row on the inventory sheet is not blank, for some reason it kind of messes up some of these charts. I have tried to figure out why it does that. I don't know. I really don't know. But if you just add some more lines on the bottom here, it works. I don't know. I really don't know why it does that, but that's an easy fix at least. Don't forget, when you do add more rows, to reset your filter, and the filter will then include those new rows like it just did there. So yeah, theoretically you'd be good to go from this point on, ready to roll. So I am going to quickly set up to show you guys how to import from the 2.0 sheet, because again, this was all from the sheet within. And so you're more than likely going to be importing for the first time from the 2.0 sheet, and I'll get that set up right now. All right, so I got a bit of some random data to import here, and we're going to go ahead and remember to select A11. We're going to push Control-Shift-V to paste, and it's going to paste it in just like that. And you'll notice all these extra, like these were the calculations that are now on the calculations tab. It's okay. It will exclude these, so no need to worry about changing anything from the 2.0 tab. You'll notice, you know, this includes the spare columns that 2.0 had. Now, if you had used one of these columns for a purpose, and I'm just going to go ahead and put links here again, whatever your purpose for your custom column would be. If you used one of the spare columns, it would import. And if you added a column on the end, it would import as well. At least a little bit of data to try to copy over. And then one thing I did want to show was I did intentionally cause a discrepancy between this and the new sheet to show you. So I have bin here, and then on our inventory sheet, it's under bin location. And I want to show you what it would look like if we just ran like this. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to do this and this is good for you guys to know, if you name a current version, this is a way you could back up your data within its own sheet. And I'm naming a version. And what this does, I'll show you exactly how it works. But if you need to revert back to a specific version, it's a good idea to name your versions every so often. You just went through an audit or whatever, and you know your information is correct. Do a name your version kind of thing. So I went ahead and caused a discrepancy just so you guys can see what would happen and what to look for if there is a mistake. And yeah, we saved it so that we could easily revert back. I don't know what I clicked. I don't know what. So I'm going to go ahead and push no because I don't know exactly what I clicked on. It's okay. Easy mistake, easy fix. So no change was made there. Again, our inventory sheet is blank again so that we can import in. And this time we're going to do unsold listings. So let's do that. And so it says found 2 new columns, bin and links. So you'll notice it did find the links that changed from the spare column. So if you did use a spare column and you never changed the word spare, go ahead and change it to pretty much anything and it will copy over. But before we can continue, I want to rename this to match the existing column, because if anything is changed, it's going to add them to the end instead of putting them where they should be. So it's important to check this and make sure that you don't have anything that is original that's showing up like it's a new column. So let's go ahead and push no. Cancel this. Import canceled. And then change this to location. And then we should be able to do this again. If I spelt location correct. Why didn't you tell me? All right, we'll try again. Oh, this time it's because I didn't press enter. I'm still editing that column. We'll get it someday. Let's try again. All right, 1 new column located or identified, links. So I'm happy with this. We're going to go ahead and press yes. And it's importing 57 of the 100. Yes. All right, so import complete. Let's go ahead and check over here. And again, it does import to the under the last row. And this should all be unsold, so there's no sold data. And the new column is there. So everything looks like it imported correctly. And from here, you can go ahead and move your custom column to wherever you would like. And if you did rearrange this beforehand, say you wanted to import listings into an already existing sheet of the 3.0 version, and you had some things moved, it will import those into the right spots. So purchase location's fine, all that kind of stuff is in the right spot. All right. Now you remember how I saved the name of the version? Well, now we can easily go back and revert back. Say I made a big mistake. I shouldn't have pressed OK. Well, now we can go here to the before import version and restore this version. Restore. It also names versions. It also saves every version like every minute, every 2 minutes, or maybe even every edit. So if you ever find yourself having like, what happened to my sheet? It was working perfect yesterday. You could always go into that, change the version, and revert it back to a working version. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now we are back pre-import. Okay, and now we're going to import all. Actually, it's pre-location. I didn't fix this. So I'm going to go ahead and, if I could spell it right again. my microphone is hovering right over my keyboard, and I'm one of those, I need to look at my fingers to know I'm typing correctly. So we're going to go ahead and import all. One new column, links. Would you like to add this column? Yes. And remember, this one's going to import all listings. Yes. All right. I just did 100 items. That checks out with these items here. And they are all right here with sold data included, at least the stuff that I had filled out. And our new column links is there as well. So that's how to use the import sheet and how to import your data to your new spreadsheet. And it just takes a little bit of modifying at the end just to make sure everything is ready to go. And there we go. We just got to move our links to where we want it. And I want that let's say I want it listed. Do that, copy that. Let's make it capital. And we should be good. Our data is now imported. Now, again, with this invalid mark that you're seeing on these, all you got to do to fix anything like this is add whatever this is to your drop-down menu for this, right? So if I don't have Kidizin in my purchase location on my drop-downs, then I'm going to have to go over here and add purchase location. Let's move this down because I want that at the bottom, and then add Kidizin. And then now Kidizin does not have that mark there, and it's part of the list. So you might need to go through if you forgot any kind of any of your purchase locations or sourced by any of those drop-down menus. This is a good time right after you import just to make sure everything is good to go. But yeah, that's the import button. Well, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for the Reseller Spreadsheet 3.0. Thank you so much for checking it out and making it through this whole video. So after checking it out, trying it out and all that, if you still wanted to support the channel financially, we do have the links down in the description. Buy me a coffee. You can even go through and re-download through the Gumroad if you wanted to do it that way. Subscribe, give this video a like, share it with your friends, and we do appreciate all of that very much. Stay tuned for any kind of updates with the spreadsheet, just in case there are any things that come up as soon as it gets distributed. If anything does come up and it needs me to do like a big repair or whatever, big change to the spreadsheet, I'll go ahead and let everybody know and make an updated video, send out an updated version, and then you guys can use the import button to copy your stuff over pretty easily. Fingers crossed that we don't have to go down that road, but you know, it's technology, so I'm sure there's going to be something that needs to be done. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, and we will see you guys next time.